What's going on, everybody? Today I wanted to talk about character reworks, and I know this has been a topic that has been sort of resurfacing over the last few weeks, so I kind of wanted to jump in and give my take on it. But before we begin the video, I want to let you guys know that if you guys can like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it, and just wanted to make it clear that it helps me a lot. Now, without further ado, let's get on to the video. So character reworks, I know this is sort of like a finicky topic because one could say we're still not even a year into the game and, talking about character reworks is a bit too early, but I feel like there are certain characters in the game that are just so obviously in need of help in some way, shape, or form that goes beyond to just balance numbers. Like, there was no amount of number tuning that Netease can do to set characters to make them work. I think in the best way possible I can describe a rework is when there's a specific character whose design is just fundamentally flawed or counterintuitive to the philosophy that the developers have when it comes to balancing the game. I think those scenarios are when a rework is essentially needed. So let's start off with the more sort of obvious character that would need a rework for this game. And this character is Black Widow. So Black Widow has always struggled since the dawn of time for this game. Ever since Season 0, she's always been a struggle. She's a struggle to play and she's a struggle to play with. That's not to say you have people that one trick her and do, crazy things with her, but it's a very niche subset of players, especially when compared to other one tricks for other characters out there. Like, there is a reason you see people go Widow when they throw, and it's because, the consensus about Widow for everybody is that she's pretty bad. Now, what makes Black Widow bad in Marvel Rivals? Well, I've said this before, but I feel like the sniper playstyle just isn't a good match for Marvel Rivals at the moment. It hasn't been since Season 0, and while I'm not saying that the playstyle shouldn't exist in the game, I'm more so saying it is just very difficult to incorporate it properly because of the way the rest of the game is. So Black Widow isn't bad necessarily in terms of the damage she outputs or any of those stat numbers. It's more so her kit and her design that is bad just because she doesn't fit into the current mold of the game. And that's something that numbers simply cannot fix. You can reduce certain cooldowns for her, you can increase her damage, you can do any of that and it still won't change the fact that she's going to be pretty much useless in matches. Now, with the start of Season 5, Netease did do something very interesting that kind of sparked this conversation of Black Widow being remade or reworked, and that is her team up with Jean, or Phoenix. So her team up with Phoenix essentially has a toggle for her to be able to heal her teammates with this fiery explosion splash thing, whatever you want to call it. But funny enough, while I was trying Black Widow after that, which I never do, I don't think I've ever had more than 40 minutes on Black Widow ever, I found that sort of versatility in her kit to be quite fun. Now, does that make her any better within the game's sort of mold? Not really, but I do think it would be a step in the right direction. Now, do I have any idea how to rework Widow? No. But I do think they could go a direction of making her into a strategist, which I voiced before, and I know there are people that don't want her to become a strategist, and I wouldn't want to upset the 10 Widow players out there. But at this point, it's leave her as is, which I don't think Netease as a developer wants to do. They want all their characters to be used, or change her to a formula that isn't a sniper. And I know that goes against Black Widow. I don't really know Black Widow as a superhero. I don't know if she's just a sniper. But regardless of that, it's probably the sniper playstyle that draws people towards her in the game. But it's like I said earlier, I just don't think the sniper playstyle fits with the mold of the current state of Marvel Rivals. If Widow players want to keep her the way she is right now, in order for her to actually be good with that in mind, there has to be so much around her, so much of the core game with other characters and other systems that have to change in order for her to actually stand a chance while avoiding a rework. And that is almost an impossible task to ask for. Because even right now, Netease, with the way they're handling other roles and other characters, it's actually getting worse for Black Widow. It has been getting worse for her season after season. It's almost kind of funny, but at the same time kind of sad. But in summary for Black Widow, I do think maybe she would have a better chance at being a strategist, taking that Phoenix team up and maybe doing something to where it's a permanent thing minus the Phoenix affiliation. Because as it stands, she's just going to keep getting worse. So, I hope anybody that enjoys playing her can continue to enjoy her, but at the same time not have to struggle with her, or necessarily the team have to accommodate so much to have a Black Widow in their composition. But that's enough about Black Widow. On to our second character who I personally think needs a rework, Ultron. So unlike Black Widow, I think Ultron should stay as the strategist, but at the same time, I could see him honestly being a DPS instead, but that just means that you would have to take him out of the strategist role, which means there will be less strategists in that role, and a lot of strategist players won't be happy because I don't blame them. There's very little strategists in the game compared to the DPS category. So for this discussion, I'll just keep him within the strategist role. So Ultron is a very funny case because I feel like he as a hero is flawed, right? I think everybody could say that. He encourages triple support, which everybody hates, and there's really nothing about him that makes him a strategist. Ultron essentially gives you a cookie, pats you on the head, and then goes out to slaughter people. That is Ultron in a nutshell. And I know this part is going to be subjective, but I also feel like he isn't fun to play as. He doesn't have a specific gameplay loop, or at least an engaging gameplay loop. Like I said before, he'll throw a drone on you and then just go off to do his own thing, and that's just zap, reload, zap, reload, zap, reload. He's just boring. He's just a boring strategist, let alone a strategist that doesn't provide anything with this team other than that drone, and encourages a playstyle in which everyone else hates, which is the triple support stuff. I don't know. I think Ultron is one of those cases where he definitely has to be reworked. And a character like Ultron, I feel like would be so easy to rework in regards to incorporating some of his lore into like abilities, because there are tons of other things he can do in like comics and whatnot that they could easily have him do in this game while staying as a strategist. I have no idea why Netease made him the way he is now. It's very limited and boring and dull. And obviously, as we know now, he's not good. Now, staying within this strategist role, there's the third character that I feel definitely needs to be reworked because they have been going through this weird crisis of mismanagement, and that is Raccoon. So I have zero idea why Netease in this recent balance patch decided to encourage the heal botting playstyle for Rocket even more, especially when that's like one of the bigger complaints people have about Rocket is that he essentially is a heal bot. Now, Netease sort of tried to give him a little bit more utility with his ult, but it's like, there's still not much to do with Rocket other than just, heal. And for some reason they thought, if you don't want to just be healing, surely that must mean that you want to do damage. So let's go ahead and buff Rocket's primary fire. And it's like, I don't think that's exactly what people were asking for. Don't get me wrong, Rocket heals a lot, like he heals even more than ever before. So would that make him a good support? No, absolutely not. I'm not saying he's bad, but if you're gonna be heal botting, why would you go Rocket Raccoon when you can heal about the same, if not more, with Sue Storm, who also has a bunch of other utility, or the recently added Gambit, or Luna Snow, or Cloak and Dagger. I just don't see why Rocket exists at this point, especially when like characters like Sue and Gambit are so much funner to play, which I suppose is subjective as well, but I don't know. I don't know who finds Rocket fun to play as. I think the only enjoyment Rocket and Rocket players can have is of his mobility, which is like the unique thing about him that sort of draws him away from other strategists. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Netease will turn Rocket Raccoon into Lucio from Overwatch. Now, the next character I want to talk about is the last character, and it is in the Vanguard/tank role. The character that I'm talking about is none other than the Thing. So I find the Thing to be a very funny character in regards to what Netease has done to them. Because I remember when the Thing first came out, a lot of people were saying he was kind of but then it came to the point where people were saying like, oh no, he's pretty good. However, the Thing is one of those situational characters where I don't want to say he's a niche pick like Penny Parker or something, but in my opinion, I feel like he's sort of in that realm, kind of. And another thing about the Thing is that he's the type of tank that relies so much on his team's awareness. And I know you could say that about all of the tanks in the game, but I feel like with the Thing, there's a bit more of an emphasis on it, simply because he has a lot of abilities that where if he doesn't use them, he dies. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but there is a certain radius that you need to have when playing with a Thing on your team in order for him to get the most value, more so than an Angela, more so than a Hulk. I don't know, it's hard for me to describe. But not to get sidetracked, let's just focus on why I think he needs sort of a rework, kind of. So as of season 5, the Thing received sort of like a pseudo rework where he didn't get new abilities, but the logic in which his abilities function and how he operates with the current existing abilities that he has function differently. Like, I forgot what season it was where he got that sudden ability where he can just leap to the air against flyers and knock them down. Like, I feel like that is the most random thing you can give the thing. And this isn't talking about as if said ability is useful or not. I'm just more so talking on face value of how funny it looks. Like, imagine if Iron Man had the ability to instant transmission right behind you. It's like, what? But to stick back with the thing, as of now in season 5, he is suffering, and a lot of that goes to a lot of the things that are surrounding the game, be it crowd control and triple supports continuing to be more prominent. Also, the addition of Gambit doesn't help the thing. So for me, I think a thing rework should happen, but more on a subtle level compared to the other characters I mentioned in this video. Like, I think he is fine the way he is. It's just that he doesn't have a failsafe to fall back to when metas shift away from his favor. And there are a lot of characters that obviously, you know, metas shift away from their favor. But the thing with the thing is that whenever it shifts away from him, it bites him harder than whenever it happens to other characters. So yeah, he needs something to fall back to for when metas shift away from his favor. Something where people can say like, hey, yeah, this season is not for the thing, but at least he has this ability. That ability being whatever it could be. Anyways, what do you guys think? What characters do you guys think definitely need reworks? And if so, how would you go about reworking them? So please feel free to let me and everybody else know in the comment section below. So yeah, make sure to like and share the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and click that notification bell so you guys can see whenever I upload. In the near future, I do plan on rolling out a new form of content. I'm really excited for you guys to see what it is. It's nothing revolutionary or brand new, but it is different from these discussion videos and topics and whatnot. So I'll be very curious to see how you guys receive this, and it should probably be the next 2-ish weeks. So yeah, again, thanks for watching the video. Please be kind to each other, and I hope you guys stay safe. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.